We are out here at the Haw Creek Bike Park doing a little bit of drone testing today. As I've mentioned a few times previously now, we have a Developer Mini with a Spotlight mod kit attached to it. So as you'll see with the Mini, the Spotlight does fit where it was originally designed for the larger Developer models, it being the Spotlight. However, you just have to take off with it already fully extended outward. So there's not quite enough clearance for the Spotlight to take off, already pointing straight and level forward. Nonetheless, let's go ahead, get 4 props that we need for flight. Need to get the antenna out as well. We have not yet used this version of the Spotlight in flight, so we're going to do some learning on the fly. Been there, done that, but in a little bit different of a capacity this time. If you saw the video where we had a Spotlight take flight on the Developer XE, in some cases this is the same Spotlight as far as the light modules itself, but we've changed up the electronics. So now instead of running off the 5-volt rail that the Pixhawk is connected to the Pixhawk directly, we are just tapping into the battery power and then using a 12-volt BEC in the electronics enclosure. So this is a more basic version of the Spotlight where it only tilts up and down and then turns on and off. It doesn't have a flashing feature or any other sort of functionality. So you can kind of think about this as the basic Spotlight, or even though it's just called our Spotlight mod kit, we're working on a more advanced one. As far as the connections, there's just 2 connections go. There's one for the lights to turn them on and off, and then there's the other connection here to tilt the servo up and down. And if I open up Developer Mini, hopefully we can get a nice little zoom, show off our beautiful wiring management. Look how clean that build is, ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen, again, being real. So you'll see we only have 4 connections across the whole Pixhawk. I have it upside down, so let me turn it right side up for you viewers. So 1 through 4, in the case of being a quad rotor multicopter, would typically be reserved for the motor, or really the ESCs for the motors. The ESCs being what tells the motor how fast to spin, which direction to spin in. And so those connections would typically take up 1 through 4. We're using a FETtec 1-wire protocol, so we're using the telemetry 2 port on the Pixhawk to send all the signals to and from the motors, and really the ESC and then the ESC to and from the motors. And then all of the other connections are available, so from 5 onward, back at 1, which should really be 7 in this case, 2 being 8, 3, 9, etc., leaving 17, or number 7 being 13, and 8 being 14. So this is important as we're going to be testing out the Spotlight in the iVue RC app, where typically you would probably want to use Q ground control or a mission planner, probably mission planner for this sort of payload control. If you're using Developer or a custom drone with a Spotlight or similar payload attached to it, previous to the iVue RC app being available. Now in the case of our customer, they're actually developing their own, and they have their own satellite command and control software, satellite vehicle command and control software, and they're expanding it to be able to do drone control. And so they want to be able to verify that their software can not just control the drone, but also a payload. So using our software as we're showing it isn't necessarily going to be indicative of the customer experience, or at least in this case, this specific case, the customer experience. Now I got a wire wrapped around the landing gear. Technically speaking, that's fine, but we do have an extension cable so the port can reach in the first place, or the connection can reach the port in the first place. So I'm just unplugging it where the extender is, and you know what, I am going to feed it right back behind the landing gear, just making sure I have the wires lined up white to white and then black to black on the opposite side. All right, now that we explained the connection, I think we can go ahead and set out the Developer Mini I'm a little concerned, worried that the spotlight will try to tilt down upon initialization. But let's go ahead and boot up the controller before we boot up the Developer Mini on the spotlight. Hopefully we'll also have better luck today with the controller connecting to the iVue RC app. If you've watched our most recent 2 videos now, you know we're having issues with controllers connected directly to the iVue RC app, but this should not be the same issue, although there might be a different issue with just the Bluetooth connection from this controller to the computer. All right, we have the controller turned on. Let's go ahead and turn on the Developer Mini. I'm going to lift it up when I'm powering it on just to make sure the spotlight doesn't initialize. Now, I did this at the workshop yesterday and it didn't, but just to verify, save us from unnecessary headache. All right. It's like he doesn't know we're filming or something. It's like we're filming drone videos at a bike park. Stay in your lane. All right, opening up the iVue RC app, setting up the Bluetooth connection. I'm going to start from scratch here. Forget this device.
GPS 3D Pixhawk.
And luckily, it won't be too bad if we do need to fly in Mission Planner just to verify that the spotlight works as it should, but my preference would definitely be using the iVue RC app if at all possible. Now, Q ground control, we technically could as well, but there's a lot less ability to actually control a servo payload in Q ground control. The only way you can do so is via waypoint mission, where in Mission Planner at any point, even while you're on the ground, you can actually test the servos. So we just have an even better way of doing so in the iVue RC app when the connection works as it's supposed to. All right, let's try. Nope. This has worked previously, so I'm a little miffed as to why it's not working. So Mohit, if we could get together again and maybe do some troubleshooting. This is really unfortunate that this sort of Bluetooth, like totally wireless connection, which once worked pretty flawlessly, no longer seems to be working at all. All right, that means we're going to have to disconnect from Bluetooth and restart all over again, this time trying Mission Planner. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip. Now, did I bring out the Legion? I doubt I brought out the Legion. That could save us some headache. The phone is ringing. Doesn't immediately say spam. Let me check this. Duty calls, people. Feel bad, I hung up. It was actually a collections agency, or a guy from a collections agency. I know, not trying to collect, trying to help us collect, which I don't think, no, we definitely don't have any that we need to collect on at this time. Hasn't always been the case. All right, we're reconnecting here via the Bluetooth menu. And we're opening up Mission Planner. I'm gonna try with 115,200 baud rate. And look at that. Why are we not able to connect in the iVue RC app? Mohit, fix it. It's not all Mohit, but you know, Mohit just works with everyone to make sure it gets done. Oftentimes it is Mohit though. Especially for these impromptu quick fixes. So I was referring to this servo screen here, which we're going to zoom down, scroll down. We have 13 and 14. And let me verify which is connected to which really quick. Is this the same person? Another phone call. No, they'll have to wait. My love won't wait. Oh, baby, I love you way. Every day. Dun 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 dun. All right, that's what I thought. It's in order. So this one on my right side, your left side, this cable is 13, and the tilt up and down is 14. Yes, tilt up and down is 14. And I think I was told turning on the light is any PWM value over 1750. Let's go ahead, set ourselves into loiter flight mode. I just did that by pressing button 2 on the controller. To take off, I don't like using all the UI and mission planner. It's too complex for this simple little mind of mine. Just holding down, need props. Props would be helpful. But as I was saying, if you want to arm, just hold down the left stick down and to the right. This is why I like the Developer XE and HP, and soon to be the Micro, which all have folding props. And so once you get the motor direction right, you just leave the propellers on, and you never have to worry about transporting them with props on, which can get in the way, or taking the props off, which is just a pain in the butt when you're coming out to do testing all the time. Woe is me! Why start a drone company if you don't like taking props on and off? I ask myself the same question on the daily. Not really. I fantasize. For real this time, arming.
Motors armed. Battery level 1 alert.
Just the battery levels aren't appropriately set on those on this controller. It's not actually representative of the developer mini battery being low. All right, let's see. That's probably high up enough. I really hope I don't overload this servo. I should have probably tested it on the ground first, but I need to double check. I already forgot which was tilt. 13, 14 is tilt. All right, 14 is tilt. Let's try low. All right, nothing happened. Let's try mid. Nothing happened. Let's try high. Nothing happened.
Battery level 2 alert.
Maybe we need to go
Battery level
lower.
2 alert.
No tilt. And I can't
Battery level 2 alert.
imagine it would be any higher. Okay, so we're not getting tilt on the spotlight. That's kind of worrisome. I'm going to land it just to verify the hardware connection looks all right.
Battery level 2 alert. Motors disarmed.
The hardware connection looks okay. So let's go ahead and while we don't have the motors running,
EKF variants.
now we're just going to try turning on and off the light on the ground here. And that should just be any value above 1700. I'm setting a value of 1900. Let's try that out. No lights. No lights.
EKF variants.
Wow, great demo, Jacob. I know, right? Is that Kirk? If so, Captain gets around a lot. Kirk is our local UPS driver you've seen in other videos. It's not Kirk, but seemingly just as friendly. I'm going to see if it's a problem with the radio being able to carry over these signals from Mission Planner, because on the hardware side, everything looks correct. But again, me not being really the R&D guy, me just being the test dummy and the marketing and sales guy, as well as, you know, the production guy, just screwing, putting the pieces together, ordering parts, you know, all the, again, small-minded, simple brain task that I can take on.
RF signal critical. Telemetry recovered. Stabilized flight mode. No GPS. Loiter flight mode. GPS 3D fix lock. No GPS. GPS 3D fix lock. No GPS. GPS 3D fix lock. No GPS. GPS 3D fix lock.
No GPS. So proud of myself to bite my tongue there. I'm now connecting via USB directly to the Develop Air Mini to see, again, if we can verify whether or not the radio just can't carry the signal in the way it should be able to. Low. High. Nope. Wow, so anticlimactic. Out of all the possibilities of coming to show off the spotlight after all worked in the office, not necessarily connected to this Develop Air Mini, wanted to wait to show that off here on video. But it looks like it will either be later today or another day at this point. Yeah, what the HE double hockey sticks? I wonder, no, the rail's getting power. Oh, you know what? We, I think, have power coming from the rail to the spotlight providing 5 volts, where we also have power being provided straight from the battery. And I wonder if a higher voltage is coming back up to the rail than what's ideal. I think we're going to wrap it up here. I'm going to give one of our engineers a call, Gerardo, a call, and see if he has any other ideas while we're out here at the field before I pack up. We are back. I did not necessarily need the help from Gerardo, just needed a listening ear. Sometimes that's all you need. I previously incorrectly told you ports 7 and 8 are actually 13 and 14, but had I just read, you could see these ports 1 through 8 are IO PWM out, so typically 1 through 4 here are reserved for motors, leaving 5 through 8 available for auxiliary devices, as well as 1 through 6 available for auxiliary devices, where 1 becomes number 7, 2 becomes number 8, 3, 9, 4, 10, yeah, sorry, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 5 is 13, 6 is 14. So this time we should actually see the spotlight tilt up and down as well as the light come on and off. Not that this should come as a surprise to anyone watching. It's not like I'm a big brain genius or anything. I'm going to turn on the controller.
Welcome to HTX. Profile warning. Switch warning. iVue telemetry ready.
And I guess just reviewing the connections here. So again, now in port 7, I want to say, hold on, I could be wrong there. Yep, ports 7, we have the lights, and 8, we have the servo for tilting up and down. And then beyond the servo connections, we have a Y splitter for the battery, 1 male XT30 connector, goes in a female XT30 connector along with the battery, and now the battery and the spotlight are both essentially being plugged in to the develop air fuselage. Or you could think about it, just take off the battery connector and you're plugging in both the develop air mini as well as the spotlight. Good thing the home point wasn't acquired yet in case we had an RTL on us. Nice.
GPS 3D fix lock.
And going back to Bluetooth, hopefully not having to reset up the Bluetooth connection in Mac OS, and it looks like we do not have to. Nice. I'm still a little bit worried. Before we take off, we'll try out the angle of tilt, although that's kind of going to give away some of the surprise in flight. But if we overload the servo motor, it could be kind of catastrophic. Not too bad. I mean, of course, these Develop Air Mini are rebuildable, just would ideally not have to rebuild it ahead of its delivery. Come on, connect faster! Not always like this, just mostly. Three hours later, no heartbeat packets received. All right, let's try again. Mavlink connecting. You know what? We're doing it live. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum bum bum. What's wrong with the world, mama? People living like they ain't got no drama. Don't ask me to sing anymore. Not that anyone was. Here we go. Look at that. We will be airborne in no time. Let there be light. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. And we landed on the tilt being port number 8. Let's verify this is indeed the case. 8 ain't that great. Ain't port 8 great. Let's try low. Look at that. All right. And then let's gradually step it up to 1500. So I sent a low value of 1100 to tilt it, not quite straight forward, but about straight forward. Let's try. High is actually 1500 is going further straight down. So we want about 1200 to be straight forward, and that's actually going to be at the high end. So we're going to set like 800 as maybe fully forward, and let's try 1200 as the high. So we're going to go high, and yet 1200 is straight forward. Let's try lower than 800. I don't know if Mission Planner really allows that. Let's try 600. Low, okay. Let's try 200. No, that might be too much. Let's try 300. And that still might be too much. $300 is too low. How low can you go? All the way to the flow? No.
EKF variance.
So it looks like 500 might be about as low as Mission Planner supports. So we might have to do like a hand landing. 450, it just went and did 450. I think the servo motor is like really fighting to keep it positioned there. Let's try 425. Yeah, I think that's about as straightforward as we're going to be able to set it via Mission Planner. But let's set the high. And then for the light, we just need to turn it past 1700. Oops. Cool. So it should work pretty much exactly as intended when we're in flight. And now you can set switches on the controller to be able to do this, at least with one of these style controllers, as I've alluded to previously. We're actually working on a UI where I know you can't even use a game controller to fly Develop Air right now, with a couple of bugs that have propped up in the last, or propped up in the last couple updates that we've made. But we are working on a way to do payload or mod kit control via a game controller you connect to the iVue RC app as well. But now, the moment of truth, sharing the spotlight with you.
Motors armed. No GPS. Loiter flight mode. GPS 3D fix lock. Battery level 1 alert.
I took off before I actually had a solid GPS connection. I was in altitude hold flight mode, which is why it started drifting so quickly after takeoff. But now we got a good GPS connection, more or less. And now we're going to see if we run into any issues. Now sending the spotlight straight forward, and then we turn it on, and look at that.
Battery level 2 alert.
And now let's turn it off and turn it back on.
Battery level 2 alert.
We're just gonna fly it around a little bit. Make sure no immediately
Battery level 2 alert.
apparent issues come up.
Battery level 2 alert.
It's pretty bright, even for it being daylight out in the middle of the daylight.
Battery level 2 alert.
So you can see here, as long as I don't jinx it, there's no power problem with these lights running on board. I think they're drawing a max of like an amp or an amp and a half. And again, we have a separate dedicated BEC, battery eliminator circuit or voltage regulator, to run this spotlight.
Battery level 2 alert. Battery level 2 alert. Motors disarmed.
All right, well, you see there we have Developer Mini back in our grasp. Let's go ahead, we'll turn off the light, and then we'll tilt it back up for storage. And successful Developer Mini spotlight flight, sharing the spotlight with you. What more could you ask for? If you want one yourself, $999 for the full Developer Mini package. And then right now we're selling the spotlights, I should know off the top of my head, I believe $199. So get yours while the getting is good. Stay tuned for some of our next updates to our Developer that I have talked about previously. This Developer Mini is going to go find its new home west of the Mississippi, the furthest one west that has ever found itself a new home. And we'll soon have a Developer HP with a thermal camera for you guys. So the heat of the moment, so to speak. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Peace.